Welcome to Small Arms Solutions. Today we're looking at the Gen 2 SIG Model 716, which is a 7.62 NATO or 308 caliber rifle. Now, the original Gen 1 was an excellent rifle. The main difference is they took a pound or two off of it. They lightened it up quite a bit from what it originally was. So that's really the biggest difference you're going to see. Also, difference in the barrel length and whatnot. But we're going to go over this thing from front to rear. This is typically what you would expect out of SIG, an extremely high quality rifle. The SIG 716 Gen 2, this is the patrol model, and it starts around $23.85. So it is definitely not an inexpensive rifle. But when you look at what you're getting for it, it's definitely well worth the money if you're looking for an external piston type version rifle. Looking at the stock, we have it's very similar to a SOP mod stock, fully adjustable. You have removable rubber butt plate, and you also have two QD sockets on here, and also a hole here for a cloth stock. You have a 6-position mil-spec stock on here. We have a receiver extension nut that's properly staked in place. Now, the upper and lower receivers are proprietary to SIG. They're forgings of 7075 T6 aircraft grade aluminum. The lower receiver has got some interesting modifications to it. First, you'll see you have an ambidextrous safety. Now, this is SIG's own proprietary safety. It's very large. It's very easy to get to. It's very easy to manipulate even with the heaviest of gloves on there. You do have your magazine release on this side here. And when we flip it over, you can see we have a bolt catch right here. And you see how it's been extended over on the side here. This makes it much easier to engage than the standard bolt catch, to say the least. You also see we have an ambidextrous magazine release. This is the next generation pistol grip. If you look at the one that's seen on a lot of the earlier MPXs and these earlier guns, it's been changed. This is, I think, a little bit more comfortable than the original one they had on there as well. You also notice you have a forward assist on there, and we're going to take a closer look at the bolt group in a few minutes. On top, we have a mil standard 1913 rail, and we have a handguard that extends over, which extends you to a full-length 1913 rail on top. Handguard utilizes the newest in the key mod type. For as far as key mod versus the M-Lock, I get to answer this question all the time, which one's better, and I think they're two of the same, two different ways to get to the same place. Key mod has been successfully used by many, many companies. I think the biggest thing about the M-Lock is it's a Magpul product, and Magpul pretty much is a trendsetter. So I think for as far as popularity, I do believe probably the M-Lock's going to win out in popularity. This is a full free-floated handguard. Again, continuous top, and you can place the rail segments anywhere you want on the front of the grip. Barrel, cold hammer forged stainless steel barrel. This one is a 16-inch barrel. You have a 3-prong flash suppressor on here. And this is an external piston. It's a short stroke tappet. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to take the rifle apart, and we're going to go over some of those components. The other thing we're going to take a look at on here is the charging handle. As you can see, the charging handle is fully ambidextrous as well, which is another excellent feature for somebody who's left-handed, or even if you're right-handed too, you'll still wind up using it. The rifle comes with a single PMag, and I can tell you from experience that I've tested it with everything from Magpul to C-Products Defense to D&H Tactical, and even some of the prototype hex mags. And this rifle has been compatible with every magazine I put in it. What we're going to do now is we're going to disassemble it. We're going to take a look at the operating system as well as the bolt mechanism. The bolt mechanism, as you can see, is very typical AR-10 type, but you can see there's a lot of material removed on here to make it lighter. There's no gas rings because they're not necessary. You have a couple gas vent holes on here. And you can also see the triangular shape in the bottom. The reason for this is it allows you to have the magazine inserted with a full 20 rounds and not to have any issue with being able to insert it. That goes right in between the two rounds, so it allows it to go up a little bit further. You also can notice we have 2 ejectors in here. Now, with the 7.62 versions, these rifles, the higher the cycle rate, the faster that everything's working. And sometimes you get into a condition where the cartridge case does not have enough time to eject before the bolt moves forward. This is noticed particularly on the shorter barrels, the 12.5-inch barrels and such, but even on the 16-inch barrels, it's an enhancement. So what that does is it gets that cartridge case out of there a lot faster, ensures against those failures to eject or those stovepipe types malfunctions. All one piece, as you can see. Your tombstone here, the impact area for the piston rod. The bolt is a standard AR-10 type. These are all proprietary components, so you would want to stick with all SIG components for the SIG 716 rifle. Another modification we had to the upper receiver is the shell deflector is polymer, and it's removable. If it gets damaged, it can be removed and replaced. Up here you're seeing a gas valve. What this valve does is it allows you to have either a suppressed or a unsuppressed setting. And we're going to show you how this all comes apart. There's a small plunger we're going to push in right here. We're going to pop that right out. So we have your gas valve, your piston, op rod, return spring. Very simple mechanism. You'll see you do have a few different portholes on there, and you have gas relief valves on the rear. On the front, you have your two positions for suppressed and unsuppressed. The only critique I can really have on this rifle is the fact that when the operating rod is into the rifle, all this is exposed to the elements. I think I would like to have seen a protective sleeve go over this that would prevent crud from getting into the mechanism. But as you can see, it's a very simple mechanism. Sits in like so. When the rifle fires, the piston drives rearward, back probably about a ½ inch, drives the bolt carrier rearward, and this spring returns it to the forward position. It's clean, and it's reliable. Now let's reinsert this. It's very simple. Maintenance on this gun is very simple. Make sure our plunger is pushed in there. Now, if this gets to the point where it's got a lot of carbon in it, you can always stick a projectile tip into the front here to switch it either way. Now, you can certainly see you can clamp on any kind of iron sight that you would like, a backup sight, front and rear. You'll notice inside the receiver you have a polymer wedge in here. What that does is when the upper and lower receiver close, it provides tension on the rear of the lug, and that ensures you have no movement or play in the upper and lower receiver, which this one has none. Now, the trigger on this one, because it is a patrol model, is a standard USGI type trigger. Now, this was a little bit of an issue during the test firing due to the fact that this trigger was extremely heavy. I think if I would have had a different kind of a trigger in there, my group sizes would have certainly improved. But this was a fairly heavy trigger in this particular rifle here. So anybody who would buy this gun, you're probably going to want to swap out a different trigger for something that's going to be a lot easier to use and a lot more accurate. Now, as far as a military trigger goes, it's good. It's not going to go off unintentionally. That's for sure. But for any kind of precision work, you may want to be looking at something that's a little bit more easy. Upper lower receivers, hard coat anodized, mil spec. Of course, you see a forward assist on there. Forward assist notches on the bolt carrier group. You know, overall, any feature that you would want on here, there's not much you're going to have to do with this rifle. You know, lastly, taking a look at the lower receiver, you also have the two QD detachment points in the rear for a sling. The optic on here is one of the SIG Tango 4 1:4 to 24 optic. I've recently had a chance to use several of the SIG optics, and I have to say I've become quite fond of them. Really clear glass, relatively good, relatively reasonably priced as well. For this one here on 1 power, you have a combat optic that's illuminated, so it works pretty much as a red dot does. And for as far as 4 power is concerned, it's a good couple 100-yard range optic. You don't really want to go above a 4 power on an assault rifle, because what happens is when you bring it up to your eye level, the 4 power is probably about as high as you're going to get, where you're not going to have to move your head to try to get a good view. So this is an ideal combat scope. You also have a fiber optic in your change lever here to go from your different power ratings. Very good quality. we'll be reviewing some more of these SIG optics in the near future as well. I have a couple more of them on order. And the optic is mounted on a Geisley mount. Geisley are pretty much the Cadillacs of optics mounts. So, this overall system is ideal for this. This is again a patrol rifle or an infantry type rifle. This is not what you call a DMR type rifle. The way it's set up, the 16-inch barrel, the trigger. This is designed as more of a patrol rifle or a combat rifle, or maybe even a hunting rifle. So I think we have a perfect setup here with just the right optic for this rifle. I think what we're going to do now is we're going to take it out to the range and we're going to see how it shoots. The SIG 716 Gen 2 performed flawlessly as expected. The ammunition was provided by both SIG and Jeff Hoffman over at Black Hills. The SIG ammo I've been testing quite a bit recently, and I've had a lot of good luck with it. That's extremely high quality ammunition. For this particular caliber, it's a 175 grain OTM that was used, and same thing with Black Hills, a 175 grain OTM. So I used basically just match loads to shoot it. Accurate, reliable. Trigger, again, for trying to get tight groups, this trigger is not so good. A good combat type trigger. It's got a good price tag on it. So they start at $2,300. We're going to be having a 716 DMR rifle review pretty soon, which is going to be more of their longer range rifle, more precision rifle. It's going to be a little bit different from this, and I expect it's going to perform a little bit better especially because of a trigger. These barrels are nitride coated. They're not chrome plated. If you guys have any questions regarding this SIG 716 Gen 2, please feel free to leave me a comment. I thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please click like, please subscribe, and even better, share. Thank you.